Hey everyone, Dominic here, the Prime Time Treasure Hunter. Welcome back to another video. 2019 is right around the corner, and so this is a great time to start thinking about goal setting for the next year. And I'm telling you this now, even though we are a little bit past the midpoint of December, because this is the time to start thinking about this sort of stuff. Not the last day of the calendar year or 2 days left. It's a really good idea to start thinking about this now for a few reasons. One is that you want to make sure you have time to put your thoughts together so that you could put a reasonable plan in place for what it is you want to accomplish. And the second thing that not a lot of people talk about is you want to give yourself some time to start implementing some of those goals now. Start implementing them early so that you could work out any kinks or problems ahead of time. For example, last year, I wanted to start this YouTube channel. That was one of my goals for 2018. Now, I didn't wait until January 1st to make the first video. I actually made the first video at the end of 2017 because I have that last week off from my regular full-time job. And I didn't want to wait until I jumped back on January 2nd to my regular full-time work schedule at the hospital to start trying to make YouTube videos. So it was real helpful for me to kind of sort out some of the issues ahead of time, and there were ones. Whenever it is that you're going to start up with something new, there's going to be some type of learning curve to it, and you want to give yourself enough time to learn those things so you could fit it in within your regular routine. So that's the two main reasons why you want to start thinking about this early. So in some ways, I want this video not only to be motivational, but also to be a challenge video. So if there is something that you got out of this video that I'm going to go through, please, please, please let me know that down below in the comments section, whether it's a new plan that you're going to set up for yourself or if it's a new goal that you want to accomplish for yourself. Please let me know that. I love to cheer you on, and I love to try to help people out. So that's one of the reasons I decided to put this video together. Now, this may be a little bit on the long side. I'm not sure, but hopefully it's worth it. If it does wind up going longer, just break it up into different parts and watch it at different times during the day. I'm not going to go over my whole entire business plan with you for the next year, but I want to give you just a general sense of how I set it up. Now, what I would tell you is important to do is to find some time soon where you could sit down for at least an hour with relatively no distractions. I mean, there's just so much you control some of these distractions, especially if you have kids and stuff like that. But try to find a time where you could just put the distractions away, put the phone away, shut it down. You know, you don't want to be distracted by notifications and all those types of things. Just get yourself in a room with a pencil and a paper, or a pen and paper, or your laptop, but keep the social media stuff off for that hour and just focus. Focus on what it is that you accomplished in 2018 and where you want to go in 2019. If you want to grow as a business, you can't just stay stagnant. You've got to change, you've got to evolve, you've got to grow, and you've got to come up with a plan in place to do that. So let me give you an example, or give you some examples of some of the things that I put down for myself. I'll share it with you, and hopefully that will maybe jumpstart some ideas on your end. Now, I actually wrote this stuff down yesterday in this notepad here, so it could be just something as simple as a notepad. I'm going to transfer some of it into Microsoft Word. Again, it doesn't really matter where you put it, but I actually just took advantage of some free time yesterday where I was at a basketball court for my son. He was doing a basketball training at night from 6 to 7. And so I just took the opportunity to take this notepad, just sat in the bleachers, had my pen, and just started writing and thinking and putting pen to paper, and that's what you got to do. So let me show you here. This would be just Microsoft Word. You could use any program. Again, you don't even have to use a computer, but it's just an easier way for me to share it with you. So put the 2 years down. You got 2018, 2019. And it's good to look back and reflect. Where where did you go? Where did you go with your business, and how did you get there? And for me, it's eBay. That's my main area where I resell online. And for you, it might be Poshmark, it might be Mercari, or could even be Craigslist or Amazon, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just for me, it's eBay. You could obviously just use your business and interchange with what I'm putting down here. So obviously, the main thing that you want to look at for your business is what is your gross revenue and what is your net revenue. But for right now, I'm just going to focus on gross. And I don't mind sharing my numbers with you. I've talked about this before, but pretty much where I wound up getting this year was $6,000 every 2 months. And that is a big step up for me. Earlier in the year, I really was at $2,000 every 2 months, and I really wanted to get to $6,000. And it's interesting the kind of things that can motivate you. One day I was at the flea market and I was talking to another reseller, and the reseller, he took out his phone. It's not Kevin Fairbanks. It's not anyone you know. But he took out his phone and he was talking to me about some records that he had sold. And he was going to show me this one record that he sold to someone in Germany for like $800. And, he was bringing it up and he took his phone out. And, when you open up the eBay app, it shows you how much money you've made over the last 60 days. And it says $6,000. And this guy's just doing the business by himself, just like I am. And I said to myself, man, one, that's important to see, because that shows you, how much you can get, at a minimum, by yourself. If you're just doing this, you can get to that $6,000 range. And I'm like, I got to step up my game if I want to, get to that point. And so, I started doing that, and it was a goal for me to get to. And so, I'd get to 3,000 and to 4,000 and to 5,000. And that just kept relentlessly driving me. I was like, I got to get to that 6. I got to get to that 6. I just want to prove to myself that I can do it. And I've been able to stay there for quite a while now. There was one month where I got up to 7,000, the low sevens. And then there's sometimes where I'll dip down to like 5,600, 57, 58, but inevitably goes back up to that $6,000 range. Now, how did I do that? Well, it is important to put down. How did you get there? 1 to 5 listings a day. Now, obviously, if all of my listings were $10 to $20 listings, I'm not going to get to $6,000 every 2 months with 1 to 5 listings a day. If you watch my not only my haul videos, but my what's sold videos, which I have a playlist that you could check those out, you'll see that I do sell quite a bunch of items that go for over the $100 range, some for several $100s, and so that's what helps me to get to this point, in addition to the $10 to $20 items as well. They all kind of add up. You have to have some of those bigger ticket items if you want to start making more money in your reselling business. Now, at a single point in time, how many listings do I generally have up? Well, not a ton. It's about 160 to 190 listings. Now, don't get too caught up in the listing number. Okay, there's people who have 1,000 listings up, but they're not making any money because they're not making sales. There's people like Craigslist Hunter who have about 125 listings, but most of the things that he's selling are high price items, and so he brings in tens of thousands of dollars, a month, just based on a limited number of listings. So don't get super caught up in that. There is a correlation, obviously, but it's more than that. It has to also do with your item quality and that sort of thing. So this is important to have, though, to lay this out, because if you have a goal that you want to get higher than that, and you should, because if you're in this for a business reason, your business should be growing. So your gross revenue should grow, but also your net revenue needs to grow as well. So all things being equal, as long as you're sourcing low, your net revenue will be fine, and you're not wasting money on shipping and that sort of stuff. You should be okay. So where I want to go is I want to get to $10,000. Now, this is just for me. Of course, you could obviously replace this with whatever your own financial goals are. And keep in mind, I have a full-time job that's separate from reselling, where I work as a neuropsychologist in a hospital. So I don't, I don't live off of this money. So this is extra money that I could bring in, but I still am just trying to grow my business and seeing how far I could take it by myself. And as you'll see in a moment, gonna need some help and need my wife, Mrs. Primetime, to help me out a little bit more so we could get to this range. So that would be every 2 months. And now you gotta say, okay, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna get there? I can't get there with 1 to 5 listings a day. I've proven that over the last few months. It's just impossible. So unless, of course, I had like, each item was worth $1,000 or, several $100s, but it's just not realistic based on my situation and the types of items that I source. So for me to get there, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to double this. I'm gonna have to do 5 to 10 listings a day. And I wanna have between 200 to 300 listings going at any point in time. Now, I would suggest having a range in place, because if you tell yourself I'm gonna do 10 listings a day, if you just give yourself that fixed number, you're setting yourself up most likely to fail. So it's good to have a range, and a range at starting at a number you think is definitely reasonable. And I know I could do 5 a day. I know I can. So in fact, I started it today and I easily got 5 done. And I'm gonna do another one once I finish this video, so I'll be 6. And there'll be other days, like a weekend day, where I'll have more time and I could get to the 10, and maybe I'll even get to 11, and we'll see what I could get to. And that should, if I do that on a consistent basis every day, that should get me to this goal. Now, if it doesn't, this is why you have to reevaluate your goals over the course of the year. So let's say I get to June, or even earlier than that, maybe April, and I'm doing 5 to 10 listings a day, and I can't get higher than 8,000 every 2 months, then I've got to change things up somehow. I've either got to source different, or I've got to list more items, or I've got to figure something out if this is my number one goal. And this is my number one goal of what I want to get to. In other words, it's a priority for me, and so I'm going to bold it. And by a priority, what that means is the mechanism in which I'm going to get there also has to be a priority. So if the decision is in 2019, I had a long day at the office, I've only got 3 listings done, I've got to get 2 more listings up or make a YouTube video. Now, I want to grow my YouTube channel for sure, but this is going to take priority, and I want to put those 2 listings up and try to make sure the next day that I get the listings up quicker, so that I could definitely get to doing one of my YouTube videos. Now, if my YouTube channel was my number one goal, then I would focus on that number one, and this would be second. So it really just depends on what it is you're trying to do and what you're trying to grow. But it's real important to have one of your goals. If you have many goals, that one has to be the overarching priority one that you think of first, and your mind is locked in that you are going to accomplish that. And you want to make sure you have something to strive for, have that number to strive for, because that motivates you every day. That's one of the things that really saps resellers, is they lose motivation. And if you want to keep that motivation going, you got to have something you're chasing. You got to have something you're going for, and you have to have a reason why you're going for it. Why am I going after that $10,000 every 2 months? So someone asked me that once in a live chat. I didn't even get to answer it, which is, hey, you work as a doctor. Why is it that you're trying to even do this? And a lot of people don't understand that when you have when you're married and you have 2 kids, and bills add up, and I could live comfortably off of that, but you also think about how expensive college tuition is. You don't know what's going to happen in terms of scholarships and that sort of thing. And I want to make sure that I have the money on hand to support my family and help them out, going forwards, when they need it. Of course, there's things like loans and stuff like that, but to the extent that I could try to help, I definitely want to try to do that. So that's one of the main things that really motivates me to doing my reselling business. So you have to have something that gives you a drive, and there could be multiple drives. Like for here, remember earlier in the year, this was my drive because I just wanted to prove that I could do what that guy could do. Find things to challenge you, and that's okay. If it's you're chasing after what some other person did to motivate you, that's okay. Michael Jordan, sports analogy, he's do that all the time. He used to find something, that someone else did that, that he had maybe not accomplished yet, that he wanted to try to prove that he could do it. And so, that's what separates people who wind up being very successful versus people who wind up, dropping out, is you got to find something that's going to motivate you and keep you going. So let's go to something else. Let's take this channel that we're on right now, okay? So we'll take YouTube. Okay, now, my goal for this year was to have 1,000 subscribers, and to me, that was a lofty goal. I mean, I couldn't even believe when I had 10 subscribers early in the year. I was shocked that 10 people would subscribe to me. Not that I didn't think that I was going to offer anything useful. After all, it's why I started the channel, but it's just something you got to get used to, that you have subscribers and stuff like that. When you start out with something like this, it's just a unique experience that I can't describe unless you've been through it. But now actually have kind of exceeded this goal in that I am very close to 2,000 subscribers. Right now, last check before I came on, I am at 1937. I have not given up on hitting that 2,000 number by the end of the year, so I'm going to emphasize this again. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, and if you are subscribed, please let someone else know who is not subscribed to come to this channel. It would be awesome, awesome, awesome to, as me would say, awesome sauce to double what my goal was from the beginning of the year. Now, how did I get to this? I pretty much made a YouTube video most nights. My goal was not to make one every night, although there was a time where I went on a long streak of months where I did not miss a video. But it was a YouTube video most nights. And I definitely accomplished that with, you figure out how many days there are in a year. And right now I've got over 280 or so videos. So most nights during the year I did make a YouTube video. So I accomplished that. So check that off. So what is my goal for 2019? Well, for 2019, since I'm already at 2,000 and I just started out, I think it's a reasonable goal, I think, to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2019. Now, am I going to get there just by doing a YouTube video most nights? I don't think so. I had to kind of sit back and reflect, because while let's say I get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the first year, while that sounds good, and it is, I could definitely be doing a lot better with YouTube. And many people have remarked on that in terms of kind of scratching their head. Why don't you have more subscribers than you do? And there's something I'm doing wrong. There's something I'm not quite catching on to. And I had to sit back and kind of reflect on that, because if I just keep doing things the way I'm doing them, I'm not going to grow in the way that I want to. And that's kind of some of the candid honesty and discussions you have to have with yourself, is you have to say, is what I'm doing really working? And maybe it is working to an extent, but if you really want to get to where you want to get to, you got to be willing to change things up a little bit. So these YouTube videos that I've done on most nights, they've primarily been ones that are instructional. And there's also been a lot of ones during the warmer months where I'm going out and you're seeing me sourcing. And I'm definitely going to keep doing these types of videos, no doubt about it. But one of the things that I did a little test of at the end of this month was interviewing someone, right? I interviewed Wade. Now, I've been on other channels and I've been interviewed on other channels, but this was the first time, and if you didn't see that video, you definitely should go check it out, where I actually interviewed another well-known reseller. And one of the reasons I did that, and if you saw that video, it wasn't like most interviews, because I tried to use my my profession as a psychologist to get into the psychology of what drives people like Wade and what motivates them, and kind of get into their life story a bit. And I figured to, since that interview went pretty well, and I talked to Wade about it off the air afterwards, that's a skill set that I could bring, that you might not see on some other channels. And so I want to expand that. So what you're going to see, and this is a little sneak peek for 2019, there's going to be more interviews. And I've got some things lined up that might surprise you, in terms of especially how we're going to kick things off in 2019 with the first 2 interviews. I'm not going to announce who they are yet. I kind of like to tease that for a little bit and build a little drama to it. But I'm very excited about some of the things that I'm going to be doing. So we're going to see more interviews with other resellers. That's going to be part of the channel, and with other resellers. Now, not only, I should clarify, when I say with other resellers, and I'll just say sellers here just to fit it in, but I'm not just talking about people who are on social media. So, not just like people like Wade, but I also want to start getting on some of you. Okay, if you're willing to come on my channel and you're someone who's been commenting, so Jersey, if you're watching this, Esme, I don't know if you're comfortable. I know Kathy isn't, but Laura, talk to Laura. Laura Cohn. I mean, there's lots of people who have just been, great supporters of this channel. And I want to bring some of you on, and I want to interview some of you, and I want to talk to you about your business and, and your model and what drives you and what motivates you, and get your story out there. So that's something I did not do at all in 2018. And so that's going to be something that happens in 2019. So those are ways that I'm going to try to expand the YouTube channel, and we'll see what happens with that in 2019. Hopefully that will grow as well. Now, there's other things. There's other social media places, and I'll just give a few basics. I won't go through all the details, but I have my Facebook group. So we've got the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, also started 1 year ago. Now, my goal for that would be 1,000 followers, or members, I should say, 1,000 members in a year. But that was well exceeded. We are at about 5,700 members. I cannot believe how this group has just exploded. It's crazy. If you are not a member, you have to come by and join. It's free. The link is down below in the description section. Come on by. Lots of great information there about reselling, and a really great supportive community. No trolls, no bullying, none of that kind of stuff. So come on by. You'll have a great time. So what I want to get to next year, I definitely think 10,000 is a reasonable goal for sure. We should get there no problem. And in terms of how to get there, well, one of the things that I did a lot this year, and I think it's one of the attractions to the group, is the BOLO of the day. That's the be on the lookout of the day item that I put up there. And I think that's been very helpful. People like that, continue to do that. We'll continue to have a supportive group. So that's something as well. People like that we're very supportive. We don't attack each other, none of that kind of stuff. So we'll keep that. But in order to keep growing, we got to integrate some other things into the channel. And so when I say channel, into the group, one of the things that I've started to do and experiment towards the end of the year is sellers supporting seller activities. So we're going to keep doing that. So I call that the seller supporting seller-thon. We have that once a month where sellers can purchase things from each other within the group, and we've had people make like 4 to 6 sales just from this activity. The last one brought in almost $300, and so it's a great experience for the group to get some sales going, and really good time doing that. I like running that, so we're going to do some more of that. Another thing that I'm going to do, since Facebook and Instagram are linked, and I could put that down here, and I just started off with this tonight, is doing more spontaneous live chats. And I really didn't do that this past year, but I just did one tonight kind of as an experiment, and it worked really well. So I announced it on the Facebook group that I was going live, and had a nice half-hour chat. Had several people jump on board. Laura Cohn, Alicia jumped on board. We had Hugo jumped on board. It was a great time, a great half hour, and a lot of people wanted to see more of it. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that at least once a week. So you could see here kind of a theme emerging, in which I think one of the things that I'm missing, so at least once a week, maybe more, is that there needs to be more interactivity, more interviews with the reselling community, more ways in which I could reach out. I did start a live show earlier this year, so there's going to be more of those. That's obviously some of the interviews are going to take place in that type of venue. But the point of me showing you this and explaining all this to you is just showing you how I identified kind of what I feel is an area where I need to grow. And that's, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, there's many ways you could grow. It's not all about money. There's ways you could just grow as a person, and there's ways that you can grow by just certain activities that you do. So that interactive piece is going to be a huge part of 2019. Now, another thing, part of the interactive aspect of it, is also meeting up with other resellers. Now, the only reseller I've met up with locally has been Kevin Fairbanks here in the Syracuse area. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I can tell you there should be at least one video with another. Actually, no, sorry, let me take that back. There should be two. I talked to you about the one with Craigslist Hunter that I have set up for June, because I'm going over to Chicago. But I have some other things planned, let's just put it that way, and you'll hear more about them over the course of the year, where I want to actually have some videos filmed with me and another reseller actually together in the same physical location at the same time. Okay, these are all things, by the way, that literally really wouldn't have been possible this past year. You've got to kind of establish yourself first, and that was what this first year was about, with me jumping into this social media. And then once you do that, you could try to branch off and grow from there. You can't have the goal initially you're going to accomplish all these different things at once. You kind of got to take steps to get there. So with Instagram, I had an issue, as you know, earlier this year, where my account wound up getting removed. And as a result, I was at 1,200 followers at one point, and now I finally got back up to 900 in a relatively quick amount of time. I'd like to get to 1,000 by the end of the year, so hopefully that will occur, and it should. I'm at like 900 and something right now, so I think I'll get there. But I really want to jump up with the Instagram next year, and I'm going to set myself a pretty lofty goal, I guess. I really would love to get to, and this might be a little too big, I'll admit that right now, but I'd like to get to about 5,000 followers on Instagram next year. And I'm just thinking that if I increase the interactivity with regards to more Instagram stories, by the way, this is something that I've really not used much. And if you notice on my Instagram account today, I did start adding things into the story section. So stories, I basically want to give people more of a sense of what is going on during my day, because what typically happens is I'm filming a video for you at 3 o'clock in the morning or 12 o'clock or something like that, midnight. and you don't really know what's going on during my day unless I'm going out on the weekend to an estate sale or garage sale. So I want to bring more of that, out for you, and into these different social media venues that I'm involved in. Now, that's some of the social media stuff. It's not all of it. As I talked about, Mrs. Primetime, she is a help to the business now. She mostly helps me with, sometimes bringing, and lately it's been a lot of times, bringing packages to the post office. Especially around Christmas time, I really don't want big stacks of packages sitting out on the porch for a long time. Not that we live in a bad neighborhood or anything, but if she happens to be driving by there, it's in town. It's not a hardship to go over there, and she's been real helpful bringing that in. And there have been times earlier this year where she has taken some photographs for me, specifically with the big Funko Pop collection that I bought in the summertime at that garage sale. So she took photos of a lot of those Funkos, sent them to me. Occasionally she would take photos of an item that she wanted to list, and we'd put it up. But now, for me to get to this goal up here, I really am going to need some more assistance and some more help. And so we talked about that in 2019. She's going to take at least 1 day a week and put in a solid 3 hours or more, and doing various things. It could be taking measurements of clothes. It could be taking photos of clothes. It could be taking photos of Funko Pops. It could be listing. It's all sorts of things that, and I'm very open to whatever it is she wants to do, whatever she likes and wants to help out. This is how we're going to, get to where we need to get to. Because, at the end of the day, all this money is for a family. And so, if she could help out, it all goes in kind of, one place. And it's for all of us. So I'm hoping that, this will work because, as she said, if I put in 3 hours or more, well, that's just a minimum of 3 hours or more, for example, on a Monday. Well, then, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe that'll motivate me to do some more stuff on those additional days. This is just a minimum. But as you know, with motivation, once you get started, the hardest thing is getting started. So I like the idea of her starting this on a Monday, getting those 3 hours in, and then hopefully that kind of jumpstarts some additional stuff during the week. So there's goals in that way that you can have for your business. Other things that you want to look at is how you're sourcing. That's really important. Now, a goal of mine for 2018 was to really step up the sourcing. I wanted to significantly increase my inventory. And I definitely did that. I definitely accomplished my goals. I mean, I really did accomplish all of my goals for 2018 except for the YouTube monetization thing. But, you got to focus on what you could control, and I can't control their review times, but everything that I could really control, I was able to accomplish those goals. And the ways that I wound up doing this was, garage sales, estate sales, Craigslist ads, that sort of thing. There were other places as well, rummage sales. I'm not going to write every single thing down here. But, in 2019 for sourcing, what I decided to do is to try to take 2 Fridays, because I have a lot of vacation time built up at my regular full-time job. Take 2 Fridays off a month and just dedicate those days to going out and sourcing. And so, because once it gets warm around here, there's sales like crazy all day from morning to the end of the day on Fridays, and I'm really looking forward to hitting a lot of those up and, just not even having to worry about anything with regards to work on that particular day. The other thing that I want to do that I am not currently doing is I want to put some ads in Facebook marketplaces. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully that will bring in some additional sourcing opportunities for me, because while I look at Facebook Marketplace sometimes. It's definitely not been a focus of mine. I mostly look on Craigslist, and so I want to start expanding into Facebook Marketplace to try to get some additional inventory scores for my business. Now, one of the things I would love to do is I would love to go out and buy a storage unit, but I'm not going to write it down because Mrs. Primetime would kill me if I went out and bought a storage unit right now. I just don't have the space for the stuff that's in a storage unit, but that gets to my next point here, which is looking at how your business is actually organized. So organization of your business. Okay. Now, one of the things, if you watched my video earlier this year on my box reorganization, I mean, I had a disaster going on here in Primetime Treasure headquarters where the box situation got completely out of control. If you have not checked out that video, it's a 3-part video. You definitely should check it out. If you're having a problem with box reorganization, check out what I did. Bought a bunch of shelving units, and basically got all the boxes broken down, threw out all the weak ones and bad ones, and kept the best of the best, and survival of the fittest with the boxes. And the system has worked out great. So I'm very happy with that. So I did a lot of that, and also just wound up kind of just, buying some additional shelving so I could more efficiently store other inventory. Now for 2019, in terms of organization, I do need to remove some additional things from right here in this room in Primetime Treasure headquarters. So for example, and we've talked about this in 2018, but it wasn't really a goal, but it's something that I've noticed towards the end of the year. Like there's this whole big area where there's a bunch of paint cans that are being stored down here, and they're just taking up room that I could use for inventory. So those just need to be gone, and I need to just write that down as a goal so that I could just cross that off. Another thing that I need to do is I probably want to look at just restructuring my whole situation down here so I just have more room to move around and just organize my inventory better. So better organization of inventory, because right now it's too messy, and I'm not normally a messy person. I like to be clean, I like to be organized, but the problem is that when you're growing so fast in your business and you just don't sometimes have the time to get everything as organized as you want, things can kind of start building up and getting out of control. That's why I had to do this whole box reorganization thing here. Sometimes you just got to set the time aside to do that. So that's one of my goals for 2019, is to make sure that I set the time aside to do that sort of stuff. Another thing you want to think about is your equipment. Look at your equipment. What do you have? How did you, what did you buy? Like for example, things that I bought this year. And it's kind of like inventory, but I did buy a lot of storage shelves, as I said. I bought a webcam, which I'm using right now. There's lots of different things that I bought. I bought a 3-inch tape gun. I bought a lot of shipping supplies this year through through eBay and Amazon. So there's lots of different things, and what I want to do is I want to upgrade some things next year. So what I want to have a secondary laptop. So if this laptop that right now that I'm filming on breaks, that I have a backup for it. Because if not, I'm not completely screwed, because I do have a another computer in another area of the house that I could use. But I really love having a laptop, and this one's getting a little slow, so I definitely want to upgrade that. Probably going to look into upgrading the webcam, possibly. So that's another thing I'm kind of looking at as well. Yeah, and shipping supplies, I definitely want to look into upgrading that and creating some duplicates. And for example, there's a set of shear scissors that I use a lot, and I frequently have to come down here to get that pair of shear scissors if I want to use it for things upstairs. And so just last night, I just bought another one so I could have it upstairs as well, so I don't have to keep running down here to get it. So that's that kind of redundancy that I talked about in another video. The other thing I would say for business purposes is how are you marketing things? So, you know, for marketing, all of my marketing has pretty much been free through Facebook and through Instagram. I mean, that's pretty much how I've marketed my business. And I guess you could say YouTube as well is also a marketing tool. And there's only one T in marketing there. But for you know, for 2019, I've got to think about whether or not it is going to be something useful for me to do any, sorry there, a little spelling mistake, whether or not it's going to be useful to do any kind of paid marketing for my business. So for example, is it going to be helpful for me to pay to get an ad somewhere on Craigslist or in or just some other place, maybe on Facebook, to try to lure, for example, you know, comic collectors to sell their comic books to me? That's something I'm considering. I'm going to put a little question mark into it because I still need to examine that a little bit more to figure out if that's going to be something that makes sense. But that's something that I've been thinking about. Another thing, it's a project that I've kind of had going on, is a book. I've mentioned this before, that I like to do a reselling book, and that's something I have been working on writing. Reselling book, and I'm not going to exactly announce what it's about yet because it's a little too early, but I can tell you that it is going along quite well, and my goal is to publish that book sometime in 2019. So you'll be hearing more details about that later on during the year. So I think that pretty much covers all of the main areas. I'm just looking at everything that I wrote down yesterday, and there's more specifics. I haven't put down every single specific, but I just wanted to make sure I kind of gave a sense of, you know, what I want to put down. Now, if you want to, you could also put down, and this is up to you, or you might want to do these separate, but there's also personal goals that you might have, you know, that would just make you kind of maybe feel happier, and it could motivate you towards your reselling business. For example, if, you know, during this year you realize, hey, wow, I was just so busy with things, I never got to watch, you know, my favorite TV show, I kind of missed it all year or something like that, you know, put that in as a goal for, you know, for 2019. Once you've accomplished something for the day, reward yourself by, you know, watching more of your favorite TV show or whatever it is. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You can put whatever you want in there. But I know this is a long video. I'm not sure exactly how long we went. I don't think it quite went an hour, but a little bit less than that. But I thought it was necessary because I really want you to think about these types of things. I don't want you just thinking about, gee, how much more money am I going to make next year? I mean, that could be your priority if you want, but there's got to be a lot of other things too, especially if you want to grow with your business, to help you get there. So hopefully next year, when I'm doing this same type of video for you, this 10,000 will be switched over here, and a lot of these other goals will be met as well. And remember, as you're going through the year, reevaluate and see what's working and what's not. Some things sound like a good plan, but then when you try to implement it, it doesn't exactly work. But that's one of the reasons, again, why I said I want you to start trying to implement some of this stuff early. So let me know if you stuck with me this far, if there's things that you got out of this that you would not have thought of otherwise. Be helpful for me to know that. And in terms of, like I said, any goals that you thought of from watching this video that you want to implement for 2019. A new year is just a great time to just start out with just making some changes. So think about them now. Let me know. Remember, stop by the Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. Subscribe to this video so that hopefully I could move this 1937 up to 2,000. Let's change this to 2,000 by the end of 2018. No, 20,000 would be nice, but 2,000 would be great. Share this channel with other people. Blast it out on social media. Let people know about the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Be really helpful to just grow this channel some more, especially if you like the videos. Make sure you follow me on Instagram because that is a place where you are going to see a lot of stuff that you're not going to see on this channel. That's going to be a place where you could actually get in with me and we could do a split screen where I'm literally talking to you face to face and everyone could see us talking and have a conversation. I want to do that some more. That was fun doing that tonight. So I like that interaction. I like getting to know all of you better. So I hope that many of you I will get a chance to actually have that in-person kind of meeting with later on this year. So I did one tonight. I'll do another one next week. So follow me on Instagram. That's at prime_time_treasure. I look forward to seeing you there, and I look forward to seeing your comments down below in terms of what you're going to do to crush it in 2019. See you later, everybody. Take care.